And welcome back into another edition of Kolby's Corner Live, coming to you here from the field in Atlanta at Bobby Dodd Stadium, where Georgia Tech, number 13 ranked Georgia Tech, just defeated Virginia Tech by a final score of 35-20. And honestly, it felt a lot further away than the final score indicates. Get into quarterback play, the offense, what's next going into the bye week, obviously some injuries coming into the game, going out of the game, and just some off the field stuff. But make sure to drop questions in the chat before we get into this stream. Just any questions you might have about the game. Obviously, a lot going on off the field as well. Dump questions in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everyone jumping in here. But yeah, here in Atlanta, and Virginia Tech drops another ACC game. Obviously, coming off the Wake Forest loss last week, you're going to have a pretty big test going on the road. Georgia Tech team that hasn't faltered at all this year. I know people want to point to that Wake Forest game where maybe they got a little bit lucky here or there with the way that game fell, but a Tech team that I think today really displayed their class and just outclassed Virginia Tech, out-physical Virginia Tech, pretty much at all facets: coaching, execution, quarterback play, offense, defense, special teams, and we'll break that down and get into it. I think starting off, you want to talk about the quarterback, and we'll get into Haynes King because he was special, but talk about that running game. Pulling up the numbers now, Malachi Hosley, had 11 carries for 129 yards, 11.7 average. Jamal Haynes added with him 14 carries for 69 yards. And then, like I said, the quarterback, Haynes King, 14 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Overall, they had 268 rushing yards for Virginia Tech. Their offense outgained Virginia Tech, total 481 to 367. And Virginia Tech got a lot of that production there in garbage time. I think Georgia Tech's running game on the ground really just set the tone for the game. From the first couple drives, you're just looking at it, they were getting whatever they wanted. Against a decent Virginia Tech front, they were really just getting whatever they wanted. That allowed Haynes King to sit back there and pick his spots when he had to. He finished 20 of 24, I believe, on the game, passing touchdown, just over 200 yards, 213 yards. Had a really, really efficient day. Like I said, 20-24. It's a really big time throws. Maybe like that one Cody Heisman penalty got bailed out a couple times on different things, but just really outclassed from the quarterback position, rushing game. Their offensive line played really well. I know people were talking about holding penalties, but overall, I think Georgia Tech's offense stuck to their guns. They mixed some things in that maybe Virginia Tech wasn't expecting, but overall, just completely dominated and forcefully handled Virginia Tech. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, you obviously had a bunch of injuries coming in. Jaden Keller banged up. Obviously didn't play today. Had quite a few different injuries going on, as we see the legends Braden Shank and Cody Wagner walking behind us. But when you have those injuries, you saw guys starting. Noah Chambers, first start. Joe Reddish, first start. George Balance led the team in tackles. I think he had 8 tackles. Noah Chambers also up there. I think he had 6 tackles as well. Joe Reddish in his first start ever. Obviously, the brother of Quentin Reddish came in from Wingate. They were playing nickel. 2 tackles for loss, 6 tackles. Had a really nice game, but overall the defense was just getting worn down, and they really couldn't make any headway. And then that secondary is so short. As reported earlier in the week, Caleb Brown's obviously going to miss the rest of the year. You're already down Dante Lovett to the portal. And then, you have to roll with those young guys. And then you lose to Thomas Williams, who's been so solid for you. And that looks like, very, very early, but that looks like it's not going to be a great situation to be in. So you're already really deep in that secondary at corner, let alone at safety. Having to see guys like Sheldon Robinson and Brennan Johnson play the exact same time, 2 true freshman guys. So that's maybe the 1,000-foot view on the defense. Getting into special teams, obviously, maybe not the best execution. Now, Elijah Fall had that great blocked kick, but then you talk about the punt where they had 2 guys back there and you get fooled, and they eventually get him down. But that was a really, really big return for Georgia Tech. Now, Nick Velsisas had 2 punts, down inside like the 2-yard line, which was really, really good to see. But just overall, the execution, I think they had 10 penalties for 82 yards, which anytime you have 10 penalties, it's going to really frustrate your coach. So it's just some of those same execution, just coaching, discipline errors, just popping up over and over again. Going back to it, the offensive line played better, maybe. I don't know. You saw penalties. I think all 5 guys who played had penalties. Johnny Garrett, what a warrior. He got hurt on that play right before when they went for it on 4th down, and it was the 30-plus yard touchdown to Jerickis Harrison. He got hurt. They told him to go back out there on the next play. He just goes in and tries to eat up as much space as he can. He goes down pretty much immediately, but enough time for Drones to get that touchdown. They're battling. It's patchwork. Yeah, it's not the guys they thought they're going to be rolling with. Obviously, you don't have Montavious Cunningham, but the offense is definitely struggling, and they're just trying to find it. I thought something that was super interesting. David Teal brought it up in the post-game presser. I had it in my story right after the game. The one thing that really jumped off the page with me, third down efficiency. Phil Montgomery said that's a stat they think they've been in all year. 0 of 8 today. If you would have told me that before the game, I mean, already going into the game, I think I had the prediction 34-13. I think Matei and Andrew Alex had it exactly right with 35-20, so shout out to them. But if you would have shown me 0 of 8 on third down and Georgia Tech being 7-12, I think that was all the stat you needed to see on who would have won the football game. Just not being able to convert there. And a lot of that comes from the quarterback play, Kyron Drones. Now, his stats look a lot better than probably how they shook out. 13-21, 2 passing touchdowns with the 1 interception, had 83 yards on the ground. I thought he ran the ball pretty well today. Parlayed that pretty well with trying to get the offense going. I think Virginia Tech, honestly, they got the ground game going. You saw Terrion Stewart get lubed up a little bit. You saw Marcellus Hawkins get greased up, get going. Both those guys netted, I think, over 80 yards. It was Drones and Hawkins that had. I think Stewart only had like 20 yards or so, 25 yards. But it's just that, you got to have, and I know there's a lot going on with the offensive line and skill positions, and you're way short at wide receiver too. You can get into it with Brody and Snook and Chance Wiggins, and then you lose a guy like Cam Selden, so you're already short at pass catcher. But you have Drones put the one ball in danger that doesn't get picked off by Ephraim that was looking for Benji, and then you have the one where you're driving, really promising drive, and that's to cut it to a touchdown that gets picked off, really not even close, I think, in the airspace of I think it was Spencer over there. So it's just, I believe in the first half had under 90 passing yards or close to 90 passing yards, just not getting it done there on offense. And you saw Drones get really banged up. I mean, I thought Montgomery said post-game he fought his tail off, but this is someone who he got banged up. He got rolled up on there early. You saw Pop Watson coming for a play, first play, false start. Don't get the snap off, next play. Comes in, gets swallowed up, they blitz, and get sacked. That's another stat you would have showed me before. Georgia Tech got 4 sacks, Virginia Tech got 0 on Haynes King. Obviously a very mobile guy. They schemed to that. But Virginia Tech didn't get any pressure pretty much home all game. You saw a couple tackles for loss. You saw Kamari Copeland have a couple big plays, but you didn't really have a consistent pressure in the backfield, and it just really allowed them to pick their spots and do whatever they wanted. I think one of the most telling stats, and it kind of wanes off there at the end, but if you look at the drive chart, anytime you look at a drive chart, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, punt, field goal, touchdown, field goal attempted, touchdown, punt, half. That was Georgia Tech's. So the end of the game, not the half, but what is that? On 5 or 6 out of the first 9 drives, you score, and on the 7th one, it was a blocked field goal. It's just pretty dominant. Like they just kind of took whatever they wanted, and it was in time of possession. It was in total yards. Now that sort of got filled in there at the end, and a lot of it kind of looks deceiving. But if you came in with any questions, I think this team really showed some of its quality. Now they're coming out of a bye week, and they had some of those matchup advantages there. But overall, really, really fundamental execution win for Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech's kind of reeling. They're going into their bye week now, but you saw the return of Caleb Woodson there at linebacker. Just different things with that. There's so much up in the air. Obviously, so much noise from the outside on who's playing, what's playing, how are you still getting up for these games. And it's just a really, really weird inflection point where there's so much noise about the coaching search and everything off the field, and you're only into week 7. And it's just like very, very different vibes over on vtscoop.com as opposed to years past. But yeah, make sure to jump any questions in the live chat, get into some final thoughts just on execution and different things. But talking about George Balance, walk-on linebacker, and stepping into that role with Jaden Keller being out, and I thought he played really, really well. Him, Noah Chambers. Now Chambers on 1 touchdown run maybe didn't have the best fit, but I think he had 5 tackles in the first half, just playing pretty fast, physical, getting to the ball, which is what you want to see. Sheldon Robinson, just even spitballing here, thinking about it, had that one play down the field where he sort of got caught up. Definitely looked like DPI got there early, but got away with one. Saw JoJo Krim get a lot of action there. Brendan Johnson, I thought it was pretty crazy. At one point, you looked out there, and the backfield duo on defense was Brendan Johnson and Sheldon Robinson. And it's so different when you cast it back a couple months and you think about bringing Jordan Bass and Sherrod Koval and Christian Ellis and Tyson Flowers out of the portal. And you think you're going to have Quentin Reddish, and now he's banged up. And you think you have so much depth at safety for the first time in forever. You're like, okay, we're not going to have to play a true freshman like we had to with Q-Red and Mose Phillips and some of those other guys. And now you're right back into that same position. You look up, it's week 7. You're in Atlanta, and Brendan Johnson and Sheldon Robinson are having to play pretty meaningful minutes. So it seems like they can't catch a break. When you see the availability report drop every week, and I mean, the guys are just hurt, but like, where does that point to? Because so much of the offseason was obviously made of the strength and conditioning change and what that was going to do for the program. And now you're seeing guys banged up and hurt and not available. It's not like this game was really competitive down to the fourth quarter, but were they going to be ready to go? I mean, Drones got pretty smacked around on that last play. I know they wanted targeting and different things, but the O-line is just getting beat up. Like, this bye week cannot come at a better time just to sort of regroup, recenter, refocus off coming off of 2 tough ACC losses for Virginia Tech. We'll see what shakes out. Obviously, the bye week's going to have a lot more to do, probably coverage-wise, with the head coaching and general manager and all that. Athletic CEO search, have a lot of really good details coming out on vtscoop.com. Had a ton of details coming out in the Terror Dome thread. Just sort of spitballing at the end of this game here. Yeah, I mean, time of possession, Polesley, just dominant. I thought Takai Heath, he had a pretty nice game, probably his best collegiate game. 4 catches for 58 yards, only had 4 targets and reeled them all in. There was also that one play where it was kind of iffy with the refs all day, down on the sideline on the right side. He got smoked out of bounds. Looked like pretty clear targeting. They didn't throw a flag. Mines was going pretty crazy on the sideline at the ref. The ref got pretty mad at him. Saw some frustration between Mines talking to some of the receivers and that going on. Obviously, heat of battle in the game, and when you don't have a lot of your guys, Selden's out, Brody's out, Chance is out. You're down a lot of your weapons, and the offense isn't rolling. It's contentious. It's tough. So we'll see how it shakes out from here. Pretty brief Kolby's Corner tonight. Yeah, heading into the bye week, we'll have some coverage. But enjoy some college football for the rest of today. Go over to vtscoop.com. Make sure to go check out the site. We'll have updates regarding the search, regarding the team. Team updates, had a lot of really great team updates for this week. And, yeah, we'll see what shakes out of the bye week. And then on to Friday night in the semi-Terror Dome against Cal. And the season will keep on rolling. So make sure to stay tuned in to vtscoop.com. Appreciate you all jumping in here today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like the video. It helps us out a ton. Helps me out a ton. Appreciate you. So, yeah, safe trip back if you're at the game. If not, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.